Okay, we're in the interview portion of today's show. We're joined by Tyler Hubbard, embarking on his solo career, formerly of Florida Georgia Line. You're in town this weekend. You're playing at the Allstate, I still call it the Rosemont, the Allstate Arena. How's it been so far? Is this your first leg of the...
First leg of the Kane Brown tour, yeah.
Yeah, because you're going through October.
Sorry, it's not the first leg. It's the third weekend. But yeah, man, we're just getting warmed up. It's feeling really good. It's an awesome tour. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So tonight's going to be no different.
Tonight's going to be no different. I'm going to go. Dante's going to go. I'm super excited.
Come on.
I have not had a chance to listen to it yet. This is your first ever solo album, correct?
Second
solo album. What's the experience been like?
Yeah. No, it's been amazing, to be honest. It's been a lot of fun. Especially the second album. I wrote most of these songs on the road last year, out on tour, and kind of, feeding off the energy of the fans. And yeah, man, I've enjoyed a new challenge, a new season. Stepping into this solo thing has been pretty fun, and it's been really cool to get to kind of reconnect with the fans and just watch it build. It's been awesome.
So, now, I haven't gotten to listen to the new album either, but I've heard Back Then Right Now probably 20,000 times on the radio.
That's a good thing. That's what you're gonna want. Yeah,
dude, that's
cool.
That's a heavy rotation jam.
Thanks, man.
Great. I feel like it's a great summertime song. It's gonna be heavily played all through this summer. I gotta ask, what was writing a solo album like compared to writing, with BK and?
Yeah, man. I mean, it definitely has a different dynamic, for sure. But I feel like,
are you able to be way more personable and?
Totally can. And there's definitely some songs on my projects that are very real, very personal, very vulnerable, and definitely songs that I would have never been able to release within the dynamic of being in a band, right? So that's been really cool. But also, I try not to overthink it. Like when I'm writing, I write so often, and a lot of times I just write to try to write a great song and try to stack them up. And when it comes time to make an album, kind of go through what I've written over the last year and figure out what kind of works the best. And for this album, it was kind of what I want to play live and what I want to do next. And so, yeah, it's kind of different every time. But
that's awesome. So you keep that in mind when you're writing about how is this going to sound at a live show in front of an audience?
Yeah, a lot of times, for sure. Yeah, because it translates, if it translates live, that's the goal, and a lot of times, especially when I'm on tour writing, it's sort of in the forefront of my mind. We had either just played a show or played a show the night before when we're writing, so we're kind of like, just kind of channeling the live show and what could be missing in the set or what, like I said, what I want to do next.
Now, how we'll use the word annoying has it been from everybody and their mother asking about the breakup / taking a break between you and BK?
It's been all right, to be honest. I feel like people want to know, and I'm a pretty open book. I'm pretty transparent, and so yeah, it's been fine, to be honest, and I never really blame people for wanting to know, like, what happened. I feel like we weren't like super open and transparent from the beginning. So now it's kind of like people are still kind of figuring out their narrative. And then there was a lot of false narratives, going on and people kind of assuming and all that kind of stuff. So that's sort of unfortunate, but that's also just sort of part of it.
That's part, right? That's nature of the beast, right? Now, I don't want to harp on that because this is the Tyler Hubbard interview. We want to focus on you, but I thought I was reading up on like different quotes you gave. On Dante's question, I thought you had a great answer. You're like, I can be a lot more personal. This is with the Storm Warren show a few years ago in 2022. It's like you being under the umbrella of a band or a brand, it sort of puts you in a box to not be able to go super deep personally, so you can connect with the fans, but you can only go so deep because you have to respect your bandmates and other people, and you're not speaking for them.
Weird too.
Right. Yeah. And I thought that was a perfect answer. You're like, I want to do this. This is like from my brain, from me, from my heart. And I like, from my perspective as a fan of Florida Georgia Line, like that's all I needed to hear. It's like,
Yeah, it's, although all this was unexpected and it really wasn't my decision, I've found myself really thankful that it did happen, and really pleasantly surprised at exactly that. Getting to go deeper, getting to realize, man, this feels good. Like, I didn't even realize sort of the dynamic and what that meant being in a band until you're not in a band, and you realize, wow, there's a lot of freedom in this. It's really kind of cool and liberating and energizing creatively and all those things. So again, that's sort of just like life, you know. Sometimes it throws you a curveball and that you don't expect, and you end up, you know, getting a great hit and realizing, man, this was not so bad after all. So yeah, I mean, it was definitely a process and a journey, and but one that I'm now really grateful for.
Lemonade out of lemons,
That's
man.
it, man.
Right?
That's it.
It's the only way to go about it. We have Colin joining us from across the country right now. He's out.
What's up, Colin?
What's up, brother? How are you?
I'm good, buddy.
Good. Speaking of lemonade, I do have a question. This is actually a good segue. What do you think about the entire Beyonce situation? Beyonce coming into country music.
I think it's cool, man. You know, I think it's add some dynamic and diversity to our genre, and hopefully bringing more fans to country music. So,
are you mad you didn't get a phone call to get a collaboration? You didn't even get a call?
Man, I hadn't talked to Beyonce ever, so I don't know. I didn't take it personal, but yeah, she doesn't have my number yet, but you never know.
Yeah, I will say this though. On that note, though, with everything, so you come into country music explodes in the mainstream, and I say that coming as someone from Philadelphia. Like, until like you and Luke Bryan, everybody hit around that like 2011, 2012 mark, I wasn't listening to country music. I got into it because of people like you.
That's absolutely true.
Are you interested to see how mainstream and how commercially viable country is now?
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I think it's cool. You know, it also just adds so much dynamic. Like right now in our genre, I feel like it's got 6 or 8 subgenres, you know, which to me as a listener keeps it interesting. You know, there's a lot of lanes in country music right now. You know, from Cody Johnson, who I respect and love, and his songs are incredible, to all the way to the other side of the, you know, I mean, everything. So Post Malone's working on country music. So it's just fun to see what other people do creatively, and you know, you can put a country music sticker on it if you want to, but ultimately, like, the Beyonce record's a Beyonce record, you know. I mean, it's, to me, I don't listen to it and think this is a country album. So, you know, we'll see how deep Post goes in the traditional country sense, but ultimately, I just think it's fun to see how everybody kind of interprets our genre, and, you know, I'm sure it's fun for them to step out of their normal box and do something different creatively, you know?
Is there a point you'll get to where you're sick of it and you're like, this is ours, you guys had your fun with it, now you're ruining it?
Yeah, when I put out a hip-hop album, you'll know.
Okay,
like, all right, he went straight gangster rap. Like, he's done. No, I think I don't know if we'll get to that point, you know? I think the cool thing about country music is it's always evolved, it's always grown, it's always changed, and the people that have you know, been the most influential in the genre always took a lot of heat, was always really in the forefront of the sound of country music, and they were always trend-setting and breaking rules a bit and all that stuff. So I think we're in a fun season of seeing where it can go, and yeah, it keeps me on my toes. I like it.
So you're in Chicago tonight, and then I saw you're off for a few days. You're heading out to Iowa, doing a later leg, your Midwest tour.
Yeah.
What has been the biggest change going from a band to playing a solo act over the last 2 tours? And
yeah.
I mean, is it overwhelming? Is it what?
Man,
what's the
I'd
vibe?
say it took a few shows to kind of get my feet underneath me. You know, the dynamic was a bit different, obviously, being on stage. Basically knowing the cameras were always on you and not sometimes on your partner, and just kind of having that dynamic too of having a partner on stage. But for the most part, between that and then literally coming out of the pandemic and playing very few shows for like 3 years, it all felt kind of new. And I even had the same band, you know, even when we were playing old FGL songs, it just felt new to me because it was like we hadn't played a show in 3 years, bro. This is crazy. So yeah, it took a few shows to get comfortable, but now really, you know, a few weekends in, you know, it's like, yeah, we're in our groove. We got our rhythm. We're in stride and feeling good, and every show's getting even better. But we have it pretty dialed, and it feels good.
I got to ask, what was touring with Nelly and Backstreet Boys like?
I was going to get to the Backstreet Boys too, yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty fun. That was pretty epic.
bet.
I mean, it was cool, man. Big baseball stadiums. And, just wild to be on tour with artists and guys that you grew up on, like literally Nelly and, so many members. Backstreet was one of my first CDs, you know what I mean? So you're just like, bro. And they're all just also great dudes. So it makes it that much cooler to be out with them and making memories and not only playing shows, but hanging out and, shooting the shit.
You're 37.
I was saying in the parking lot when you were playing Catch with Dave, I went to that Wrigley Field show and it was fucking.
Wait, was that you guys who got in trouble from the city?
Party.
Probably. What was it? Too late or too loud?
Too loud, yeah.
Too loud
was that you guys? So there was someone at Wrigley.
Probably so, yeah. We like to turn it up.
But you're 37 now. When you toured with Nelly, I'm assuming like every lyric to the song Country Grammar, right?
Oh yeah.
So what's it like meeting I don't know, I want to call him a hero of yours, but someone you're like, holy shit, I know every fucking lyric to this.
I mean, it took a handful of times to hanging out before it was like real, before I wasn't like, oh, it's Nelly, bro. Like now we're very close and essentially like family but we spent a lot of time together on that tour, doing award shows, being in the studio, shooting music videos. Like we were around each other a lot. So it took a while because you're like still kind of starstruck. Yeah, you're like, dang. And then every night you hear his songs and you're like, that takes me back to 7th grade. That takes me back to 6th grade. That takes me back to this memory. So it was wild. And then Backstreet was the same way. We were like, yeah, I remember this group of girls. I went to the show with them and then, just all the stuff. So, yeah, man, that was a really fun tour. Nostalgic.
Just on the note of kind of like you said, you worked with the same band, basically. You're touring with the same band.
Oh, we have a guest?
In this.
He's like the 5th member of our podcast at this point.
Dude, he was screaming. I've been on mute the entire time. He's been screaming at me. But just listening to the new record, you're experimenting with a lot of different sounds. Like there's like 1975-ish guitars on here. Like being that this is a solo project and you get to step outside, like how did the band react when you say, yo, what do you think about just going with clean strats on this? Like what was there any contention in the studio or was this like an easy process for you guys to create something new?
And as you can tell, Colin's a musician of us. He knows what he's talking about in this. Yeah.
No, it was fun because I definitely got to experiment a bit more and lean into different sounds. The studio guys, I kind of gave them free reign. Me and Jordan Smith, who I produced it with, we were just like, y'all go with where the creativity takes you, and they're so incredible. So we sort of like let them do a few passes, and then we give our feedback. But I remember telling them, yo, this like 80s inspiration that I'm feeling right now, like y'all lean into that because it felt like three or four of the songs were very heavily influenced with like 80s tempo pop, or whatever. And it was just like it just felt good. So I'm like, let's lean into that and keep that kind of going. And so yeah, good ear. There's a lot of that on this project, and it's a lot of fun to play live. And then my touring band, it got them excited. They're like, oh, bro, this feels fresh and fun and new, and I can't wait to play this live. And as it was coming together, they were all, you could feel the energy. They're like, man,
I can feel it in you right now.
I can't wait to get out and play this. So.
Well, I mean, you've always been this way, though, especially with guitar tones. If you want to get nerdy, I remember saying, and I said this on the podcast before, but a lot of that, like, Florida Georgia Line, early country stuff was like Nickelback guitar tones. And then I do my research and find out you guys were actually discovered by someone in Nickelback's camp. Can you explain that?
No.
Yeah, we had the same producer, Joey Moy, who did most of Nickelback stuff coming up, was kind of new to Nashville. He was doing some work with Jake Owen. I think he might have been the first country artist that Joey produced. Don't quote me on that, but that's how I remember it. And then we met Joey and ended up signing with Big Loud and inheriting Joey Moy. Thank the Lord, because he was a godsend at the time. And he put us through boot camp, studio boot camp, taught us everything we know, and as far as singing in the studio. And then he was able to help us kind of develop that sound that was so unique at the time. And essentially what you said, I mean, a lot of his Nickelback and his rock influences probably came out in a lot of our first and second album.
Have you ever got shit-faced with Chad Kroeger?
I haven't, actually.
Oh,
no.
come on. That's like on my to-do list before I die.
Bucket list.
Yeah.
The man.
If I ever meet him, I'll connect the dots for you.
Perfect. Well, he came on our show a couple years ago.
Heck yeah.
He was out in New York, or we were out in New York. He was in New York, wasn't he?
Jersey.
He was in Jersey. He did a show, and his name is Glenny Balls. That's his name. He's about 5'5", 350, and he got him on stage to do Rockstar Karaoke with him. Talk about like bucket list. I would love to fucking do that one day. Through a standing in line, the clothes I'll never get.
Do it now. Just do it now.
It's like the bottom of the ninth, and I'm never gonna win. This light ain't cut out quite the way I want it to be.
I walk away for 2 seconds and Dave is singing Nickelback.
Yeah.
This is what we get.
This is it.
I love this.
Rockstar Karaoke, man. It's how my
Dave just shot his shot to try to get brought out on stage and sing.
Dave can sing the BB Rex's part of Meant to Be.
Oh, yeah. You want to ruin the concert? Like, what do you want to do?
Yo,
but no, man.
I'm glad you brought her up because huge fan. I'm kind of like the DJ dance music guy, part of the group. So I've been on BB since even before a Cash thing. So seeing you collab with her a few years ago was like, wow. How did that all come about? How did you guys get paired up with somebody from a totally different realm of music like that?
Well, me and a couple buddies were out in LA just writing songs and kind of writing with whoever and different people. And we had already written that day. We were at dinner and then got a phone call that, hey, BB Rex isn't actually, because we were supposed to write with Charlie Puth, I believe, and he ended up bailing on the second so that evening write or whatever. So we were like, well, let's just go to dinner and chill. We've been working all day. Then we got a call from my manager and was like, hey, there's another opportunity. This girl BB's available and wants to write. And so we were like, well, yeah, let's go. So we went back to the studio and literally on the way back, my wife, I was walking with two buddies and my wife, and I was like, I don't know how this is going to go. Like, this is going to be, I don't even know who this girl is. And, it's late and I'm already tired and da-da-da. Like, I don't have any song ideas. And she's like, well, it'll be all right. Like, if it's meant to be, it'll be, whatever. And I'm like, all right, I like that. I like that. Yeah, she said that. So then I'm like, well, let me write that down. That sounds like I hadn't heard that song, and that's a pretty popular phrase. So then we just went in, and that's kind of how that's kind of how
how's the publishing work on that one? Did she get a cut?
Oh, bro, she gets all the publishing.
All right, there you go. Yeah, technically, I guess so.
But no, let me ask you, even when I went in the studio and sat down and met BB, she didn't know who I was or who we were. She thought I was like the singer from Little Big Town, she said, and I had to and she had to explain to me who she was. And ultimately, I just said, look, let's just write a great song. You do what you do, and I'll do what I do. And it worked out, man.
She's fucking amazing.
Yeah, she's great. That's so talented.
Dude, that's awesome. That's great story how that song came about. I love hearing stories of how, I don't know, I feel like the average person thinks you guys just get most of this stuff written for you by these people you never hear the names of or see the faces of, and you're sitting there, but so you literally go into a studio having no idea what you're going to write about with somebody you've never met before, and you come up with something like that. Like, that's like almost like crazy inspiration you're getting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. I think that whole concept of being able to be a creative and, kind of come up with something out of thin air and have something in the universe at the end of the day is pretty special. And we do it so often that it becomes the norm, so you forget to you take it for granted, right? And you get that perspective. So it's cool to, especially when you have a big one like that, it's like, wow, that's really special.
When did you realize that you had that ability or that you wanted to write songs? Have that ability? Yeah.
I enjoyed dabbling in like high school. Me and I had a group of guys, and we just like hang out and try to make beats and write songs and like record songs to basically show our friends. And then I moved to Nashville to go to college and realized like, oh, this is like a job. Like, there's professions like songwriters that like, do that for a living. So then I was like, basically that's what I'd like to do. So it was sort of.
You didn't have a shed
after college. I just pursued trying to get a publishing deal. What'd you say?
You didn't have a shed outside Jacksonville like Skinner?
No, I didn't. You mean for a studio setup?
Yeah.
I wish
like
I had a shed. I had a
15,
closet.
yeah.
I had a closet with a piece of shit microphone hanging between two clothes, and that was my studio.
Did you start as just a songwriter? Did you start just on the pub side?
Yeah.
And a cover band, right?
No, not really.
That's
I started
what Wikipedia
in music.
says.
I started like actually in church leading worship. That's kind of what got me into music, I would say. And then, then learning to make beats and trying to make songs with my buddies. That was just like a fun little thing to do, And then, yeah, like I said, moved to Nashville, figured out that this was like a professional thing that I could pursue, and yeah, I mean, I struggled for a while after college for sure, but I was pretty committed to the calls there.
I'm gonna ask another nerd question here because I am on the songwriting side. I write on Music Row from time to time, and I looked through the credits on this new record, and you have writing credits on basically every song. I'm not sure if it is every song, but I looked and it's basically every song. Is that a departure for you? Because like I'm thinking like when you first get signed, you're with FGL, and you're probably getting pitched a lot from like the Shane McNallys of the world and people like that. Did you have more of a hand in the songwriting process on this than earlier records?
Yeah, I did for sure, and it wasn't really intentional. You know, I really actually would love to cut outside songs, but they have to be incredible. You know what I mean? Right. And I've been fortunate to be able to have the time and capacity to write so many songs over the last few years that, it just kind of worked out that way. And it was important, you know, as I was really trying to introduce myself to the world, like, you know, a lot of these songs kind of had my fingerprint on it, so it was sort of inevitable that it would happen. But I have a lot of writer buddies that I'm like, yo, send me the heat, bro. Like, I'd love to cut an outside song. I want to continue to support the songwriting community, and I love when other artists will cut outside songs. I think it's usually not a great sign when an artist has to write all their songs. If that's their MO, and if they say no, I have to write every song, it typically historically doesn't work very well. You have to be a special, unique. So although I am a writer on all the songs on the first two albums, I definitely don't want that to be my MO, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anybody in Nashville you haven't written with yet that you like to get in a room with? Because you're talking about Charlie Puth and BB Rexa, like even outside of Nashville, who do you want to get in a room with?
That's when I spend time out in LA. Man, good question. I think it'd be fun to work with Justin Timberlake, and there's some guys that are kind of out there that I'm like, man, that'd be really fun just creatively to get in the studio and see where that goes. Even on the way here, I was telling my manager, I'm like, bro, I still want to reach out. It's been like a dream collaboration. I've always called it that, with Lil Wayne, which would be kind of crazy in my opinion to blend our worlds together. I'm like, that'd be sick. But it'd have to be like very intentional and cool, and you know, I don't know how he has to work within the studio, but I imagine it'd be pretty awesome. So,
dude, all right,
that'd be pretty fun.
All right,
if you guys know Wayne,
you gotta watch this GQ interview this guy did with him from, I want to say like 2010, 2012.
Cool.
He followed him around for 24 hours. I mean,
I've never seen it. I gotta imagine he's like a lunatic genius.
He lives on his tour bus, parked in one of his like mansions or whatever, but he lives on the bus because he loves the bus. He's got Sports Center on like 20 TVs around the clock, and he just has, you know, those Mead notebooks, the black and white notebooks, all over the place, stacked. He just writes nonstop all day long, every day. That's all he does.
Yeah, we just need you to sip some codeine, hang out with Wayne, see where it goes.
Well, I'll see where that goes. I will see where that goes.
At worst, you'd have a good story.
I was gonna say, bro.
At worst, you'd have an addiction.
We gotta speak this. We have to speak this into reality. This has to happen. Has to happen.
Nothing would make me happier. I think I'd be incredible.
Colin's got Wayne in his Rolodex, I'm sure.
I have his email.
So I'm a few years older than you are. Same generation, I feel, and back then right now. The reason I love that song, aside from it being just really catchy and good upbeat music, that's like my favorite kind of music. I like music that makes you happy. I love how you're conveying this message about, you know, we're not talking about like our parents do about like the good old days, but we're still talking about like, we're not there yet, but man, we had the best childhood ever, being like 80s kids.
Yeah.
Growing up before the internet.
Right before the internet.
Before social media, before shit got crazy on the news and in the world in general.
And if it was, we just didn't know about it. Yeah.
And it's like you bring up all these small things in the song that it's like, oh man, I wish we knew I wish someone told us back then, like, remember this because you're gonna miss the hell out of it.
Yeah. It's gonzo in a few years.
Yeah.
How long have you had that song on your? That doesn't feel like a song you just sat down and wrote in 10 minutes or 10 hours. That sounds.
Yeah, it was actually a quick, easy write.
Don't tell me that.
I love that.
I promise. I won't take much credit for it. I mean, it was David Garcia, Jesse Joe Dillon, and my buddy Jeff Warburton, and trust me, the reason I remember that day being so fun and easy and smooth is because not all days are like that. Some days you're beating your head against the wall waiting for a great idea to fall out, and it just, sometimes it can be difficult. But this happened we just sort of started talking about, like, exactly what you were saying, like, just nostalgic stuff. And somebody threw out that title as a concept, maybe Jeff, and I was like, yeah, let's roll with that. Like, this feels like where we're headed anyways. And then Garcia already had a track that was that kind of that feel. And then the hook kind of just started, and then we wrote the chorus pretty quick. And then it was like, in the verses, let's just paint some pictures of stuff we miss, or how it was, and just like stuff that's relatable, and it was fun, man. We literally felt like we were just talking about our childhood and our teenage years and our upbringing. And then 4 hours later, the song was, they're like, all right, you ready to sing the vocals? And we're like, yeah, let's rock.
That's awesome.
So very saying that though, bro, but
very surprising.
Can I ask you guys all a question? Tyler, this is for you, but it's also for Dave and Dante.
Sorry.
If you could push a button and the internet would never exist, would you push that button?
Yes.
Oh, he was quick with that answer.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, Dave wants to live in the woods. He works for an internet company and just
I
wants
know
to
he would have no job. He wouldn't be here right
Yeah.
now.
He wants to be off the grid, and he works for an internet.
I want to be off the grid because I work for the internet company. I'm overexposed to the internet.
My first thought was, well, how would you get to the fans? But they did it before internet, and they did it in big ways, bro. So you go back, start thinking about album sales and that kind of stuff. Like,
you could be selling cassette tapes, dude.
I would probably hit the no internet button. I think so, dude. I would.
I would
kind of reset for a musician. I feel like we talk about this regularly.
It would change my industry, obviously.
A ton.
Because it's,
As a non-musician, I am very, like, if I want to listen to a Tyler Hubbard, Florida Georgia Line, George Strait, doesn't matter. I type that into, and I pick the songs. I'm not listening to full albums very often at all anymore. Like, an album will come out. I'll listen to it through. I'll, pick your faves and then add it. It's very selective.
Right.
And that's a conversation we've had with many people in your positions. Like, albums, like, it used to be the thing. Now it's like
the whole album.
It's right. It's kind of dying a little bit.
Right.
It's single. How can you be an idiot on the internet, basically?
Right. Yeah.
There's nothing like talking about the death of LPs on the day of release day of the new album.
Right. Yeah. On that note, go and listen to it.
No,
start to finish many times.
It's a fun thought, man. I like it, honestly, as far as the internet's concerned. And,
I was actually, because I know you guys got in the whole unfollow fiasco a handful of years.
Yeah.
This is for all you guys and all those responsible for your social media. I promise you, you don't have to unfollow the mute function on social media.
I learned about that.
Day late, dollar short, though, right?
I learned about that. A day. What is the phrase?
Day late, dollar short.
Yeah, day late, dollar short for sure, bro.
I want that to be a song, and I want just a little small credit, right?
Let me write that down while we're thinking about it.
Yo. Dave's getting publishing out of this? This is why we brought you here, actually. Dave's trying to
clarify. He didn't say nothing about publishing.
He just got
said I want a little piece of that.
I'm his agent, by the way, so I'm actually
He just got his first publisher or producer credit on a song a couple of weeks ago that Colin's band released, and now he's got the
next T-Hub single. He's got Day late, dollar short.
He's that dude, Tyler. He's that dude in like a Nashville co-write that sits in the corner eating and then throws out one word, and he's like, "Yo, by the way, here's my publisher shit."
Word for a third, baby.
Do you watch South Park?
Like P Diddy?
Do you watch? Okay, there's a really famous episode where
it says no dude ever.
Damn it! God, you guys are basically Jimmy. There's this character Jimmy. I'm sure you know Cartman.
Yeah.
Jimmy is a handicapped stand-up comedian. Like, he's mentally fine, but he is a physical handicap, and he's sitting there writing jokes, and Cartman walks in, and it's a joke, the fish sticks joke about Kanye West. Okay. Have you? It was all over pop culture for a while, and Cartman was just in the room, and he took all the credit for it. That's what I'm doing here, basically.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You're writing fish stick jokes. I love that.
Stick jokes.
Had to be there. Colin, what?
No, I was just gonna. I'm looking back at my notes again, and it makes me think about something. You know, your influence, and we talked about how much you'll step out of lanes, you'll do different things. I feel like you work with a lot of artists too, and get them kind of early on. And Morgan Wallen is somebody who we talk about all the time, but you were with Morgan early on. Up Down was a huge goddamn song.
That was like 5-6 years ago, right?
Yeah,
yeah,
more than that possibly.
Yeah, probably more.
Were you with them last weekend?
No, I wasn't throwing chairs on Broadway.
No, but I think my question on this is too, like, do you feel like you get the homage and respect you deserve from like the younger generation of country artists to say like, oh shit, like FGL, like, and Tyler really kind of gave us a direction that wasn't there before?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've heard those guys talk about that dynamic and how it kind of played out and worked for, for them coming up and being on our tour and getting to learn from us, and the same way we learned from Aldine and Luke Bryan and everybody else. So yeah, they were kind of the next class, and it was cool to see them coming up, get to write a bunch of songs with them and be a part of their journey on the way up for sure. And it's been wild to see where everybody from Wallen to Hardy to Earn and all those cats that we were hanging with, where now their careers blowing up, and it's really cool to see.
Who was like kind of the OG for you? Was it Luke Bryan? Was it Aldine? Because I saw you guys open for Luke Bryan in probably 2013. Like,
it depends really on how far back we're going, bro. I mean, if you ask me, like the first guy, one of the first people that believed in us was like Jake Owen. He took us out. Corey Smith. I don't know if that rings a bell, bro.
I love fucking Corey Smith. I've seen him 1,000 times.
See, if you're a fan of Corey Smith, bro, you're a fan of Corey Smith.
I could do it again.
And I was like a huge fan. So when we got to open for Corey, and then full circle, I believe he opened for us, a few years later. But man, that was like, bro, Corey Smith. I'm like watching every set, like.
Have you played at Joe's on Weed before?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay, so you guys, Ed Warm well, I'm sure.
Oh yeah,
He's
great.
You brought me to Corey there.
I saw. I've been going to Corey Smith since
he just came back, right?
Yeah, he's on a little comeback because
yeah. Well, I love Corey, and he was always so good to us. But yeah, as far as like real mainstream, like Aldine and Luke Bryan, I mean they took us out when we were popping off, and it was they probably ended up winning on that deal pretty hard. But but I was thankful for the opportunity.
Yeah. Just your wallet's not, maybe.
That's how it works. But that's
so you've been through Chicago a bunch. Do you like coming here?
I do. I love Chicago. Man.
You don't.
I don't love it in the winter as much, but I love it in the
fair.
summer. I love
what
it.
I
love the food.
What do you do when you're here? What spots you got to hit up?
Chase my wife around. Go shopping.
Oh yeah, she probably does some damage. Huh?
Yeah, she does some work for sure. And then. Yeah, the meals. I've had a lot of good meals here.
Anything stick out? Any spots?
I always just think of the deep dish. What's that spot called?
Pequod's or Lou Malnati's?
I think this Lou
yeah, that's the big chain one. Yeah.
Are you ready to admit that deep dish pizza is overrated?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, good. That's not what we claim here.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of one of those things. Last time I had it, I'm like, I mean.
It's good.
It's all right if you're like real hungry, and it's better if it's like fresh. Sometimes I'm getting after show food, which is like 2.5 hours after it came out the oven. So
deep dish has to be eaten.
If I'm gonna eat a deep dish piece of pizza, bro, I need it to be like,
burning your top of your mouth. Yeah.
The after show food is a time honored tradition of touring musicians. Like, especially in those early days, what's an order looking like? Because I'm thinking like, roll like taquitos from 7-Eleven. Like we're hitting Love's, Flying J. Like what's an ideal?
Not even going to fast food. He's hitting the gas stations.
Yeah,
that shows you the level that I've achieved in the music industry. That I'm eating.
We've been there. Don't get it wrong,
brother.
Don't get it wrong. We've definitely been there when we were in the van days. Well, we ate a lot of fast food or gas station food. But yeah, then it elevated to fast food and. Now, dude, I mean, we're all in our mid-30s out there, early 40s. We're trying to eat kind of healthy because literally, like, we can feel it the next day when we wake up. Like, our alcohol consumption's gone way down. Our food has elevated. But it also depends on where we're at. Like last year, bro, a lot of fairs we were playing were in the middle of nowhere, and you don't have a choice. And so we're just kind of eat whatever you can. But my go-to right now lately, if I can just have a good, like, protein shake after the show, I'm like, I'm content.
Where's the rock star stuff?
And you call yourself a rock star.
I love that.
Actually,
you've been hanging out with Tim McGraw.
Trying to be a rock star.
That's the problem.
Yeah, I'm trying to be a rock star until I'm Tim's age.
How has this tour been with? I mean, you're pretty tight with Kane by this time, by now, right? You guys have worked a ton together. And then who else is
Parmalee, who's also great.
Really?
And I've known those guys for well over a decade too. We used to play clubs and stuff coming up together. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool, man. And Kane's great. His people are great. His show's amazing. And yeah, it's really cool. It's definitely a full circle moment again because he was out. We took him out on his first tour ever.
When he was first coming out.
And so watching him come up and grow and develop, and now, watching his show at night, it's amazing. And getting to be direct support, it's a lot of fun, low pressure, low stress, and yeah, man, it's a good few months here.
We're pumped. We're coming out tonight. We got some more people from the office coming out. Your team is gracious enough to
Let's go. It's gonna be a good night.
Take care of us. I'm pumped. What can we expect from this show?
Ooh.
I mean, I've seen you a handful of times, FGL, but this is my first time seeing.
Yeah, man. It's gonna be high energy, a lot of fun. Some new songs off the new record that just came out, some songs from back in the day. So you'll get a little mix of everything. And yeah, dude, it's a good high energy set because it's not super long. So we just kind of hit, give them the bangers and get out of there. Mm-hmm. And then Kane rocks, dude. Kane's show's great as well.
I love that.
Love that.
Dave, did you have some rapid fire questions?
Yeah, first things first. I usually have real stuff, but would you like a dip?
I would love a dip. Okay. What flavor?
Yeah.
I see these sitting over here. These espresso, Lucy, John?
Yeah, this is cinnamon. It's like Big Red. Like Big Red gum it tastes like. It's funny. There was one other person who Oh, no, I kind of do this thing where I offer whoever we're interviewing. It could be a female from like Canada who's never seen dip in her life. I'll offer it to them, and only one other person's ever accepted on top of you, and he was a rodeo guy from Wyoming, and obviously dip just like probably grows in his mouth at that point. But if you would have rejected that, I would have made.
I mean, is this still considered dip?
No, it's not. It's not. It's nicotine.
Which we've come a long way in the
tobacco game.
I used to dip Grizzly long cut. And so
my man.
And occasionally I'll still go throw one in just for nostalgic's sake, get a little stuck in my teeth and all that good stuff. But yeah,
dude, this is doesn't it feels so much better having not doing it every day because you get
it chews your mouth up. My mouth's like a cement mixer at this point.
Dizzy.
The best buzz.
Oh no. That waved bye-bye to me a long time ago.
I know, but if you stopped for a few months and then
I only dip when people offer it to me. So I don't buy them. So literally every time I do, I still get a little.
Yeah, just.
I only dip when
sweat.
I got a rule. I only dip when I'm driving through the state of Indiana, which is often.
What?
Yeah, okay. When I go on long car rides, it's like the most miserable fucking 3 hours ever. So I reward myself by picking up a tin.
I would have ripped you into. If for being like a fake Southerner, if you would have denied that offer
for denying the cinnamon Lucy.
Yeah.
So you're lucky. Your credit's still intact. Dave didn't have to tear you
up. I'm glad the Lucy didn't take the cred.
What else you got?
That's pretty much all I got. I had a few rapid fire questions just off the top of your head. I already offered you a Lucy. Is 45 going to be 47? I'm just joking. You don't gotta answer.
I don't even know what that
is. If you were a rapper, what would your name be? Like Lil Ty?
Lil T?
Lil T?
We don't want that Lil T, nah.
Nah, everybody's Lil at T. Like
Low T?
Low T? High T?
High T.
High T, baby.
High T, there it is.
There we go. Most famous person in your phone book, in your telephone.
Oh, wow. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Tom Hanks?
What?
That's as A-list as you can possibly.
That's a good one.
It's not Lil Wayne, but
that's really good.
Tom Hanks is. Would you FaceTime him right
text. Nah, probably not.
Probably not.
I don't want him to block me.
You just want his phone number in your book.
Gotta respect the digits, bro.
So you can tell people you have Tom Hanks' number, right?
Well, it's more like, hey Tom, can I borrow one of your houses for the? No, I don't. Have never.
It should be, hey Tom, can you ask Chet if he'll get on a song? You should be asking Chet Hanks to get on the song.
Little hot girl summer.
Yeah,
he said, "Nah, bro.
No, you don't want that.
You don't want that. That's not the strategy.
You don't want that."
And last question: most cringeworthy lyric you've ever written that people love, that just like gets you. You're like, "Fuck that song" or "Fuck that."
It's not a lyric, but if I'm being honest, I wish I could re-record How We Roll.
Yeah,
because that song still sticks around, and
that's
people love that
that's
song.
That's the song with Luke, right?
Yeah. At least my second verse. I don't like it.
I love that.
And it comes on all the time still, and people still talk about, man, I wish you play How We Roll. And I'm like, I mean, it's like, it's hooky, but like that second verse is kind of weird.
Do you know how many times I blacked out in college to that song?
I know, bro.
A lot, 1,000 times.
I hope you're not offended. I did too, actually. I blacked out a lot to that song. But yeah, maybe that's why. Maybe I didn't like the second verse the whole time. I just feel like I could do better. That's all.
Understood.
Fair. Good answer. That's actually good.
I like that.
I like that.
That's all I got.
This was great. Your great interview.
It was fun, guys.
You got a good
One
arm.
last time,
You got a good
shout
arm.
out the podcast. You guys work with charities, any foundations, anything you want to get out there to the people?
Ooh, you caught me off guard. Charities.
He's not a philanthropist. Put that in the notes.
I am. I'm just going blank on the 4 others. That's a good one that I love. Around the foster care system, and they do great work. So if I was going to put one down on the table right now, it'd probably be that one. But yeah, Feeding Nashville, another good one.
Nice.
New albums all over. You can
album.
Yeah, and stream it everywhere. I'm assuming. Obviously, you're on tour right now. He's in the Midwest. You're in Des Moines next week after tonight. I want to say.
Bro, I don't even know. Sounds right.
I have it pulled up right here.
If you got the website, you know better than I do.
Tyler, are you going to be at CMA Fest?
I'll be around. I got to leave early to go play shows, but I think I'm going to be around Thursday of that week.
Perfect. We are hosting at the Barstool Bar in Nashville.
Okay.
Yeah, so
all
we'll
day, all night.
Yeah.
We'll be there. You got
all day, all night.
You got to stop by.
Age. Okay.
Come have a drink.
Swing in.
Have you been there yet?
Come have a Lucy. I don't think so.
It's not on Broadway. It's right off it.
Yeah, I haven't been there.
Second.
Half block off.
Cool.
It's great. They did
It's a good spot.
Bar.
It's a good spot. Yeah, huge
and
stage.
studio.
Yep. Cool. Studio no, right?
Nah, but
Stage.
we're gonna set up a
studio.
they got a stage.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Everyone,
Sweet.
we're trying to get everyone we know to come through, and Warner,
I'll pull up.
Warner's doing a big thing with all their acts, so it'll be.
If Warner's there, I won't be there. I'm just kidding. I'll pull up.
And White Sox Dave will be on stage, blacked out, singing karaoke, so you can come through.
This guy plays guitar.
Okay.
I don't play guitar.
Okay.
Do you?
Well, he sings. We know
play any
that.
instruments?
I do. Yeah, I dabble.
Nice.
Just enough to write songs on. That's about it.
3 chords. That's all you need.
That's about it, baby. 3 chords, and that's all you need.
G, C, D.